So Haunted. As of right now, and as of probably the last like 2 weeks, Haunted is my favorite Babel Has Fallen song.
Really?
It has usurped the previous favorite, which for a long time it was Keep Me Alive. Keep Me Alive was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people would have guessed that because I don't think people think of Keep Me Alive as much. Like it just kind of fades into the background for most people, I think.
There are some particularly epic songs that tend to grab the attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bigger songs. But Keep Me Alive was my favorite for a while. This Tragedy of Mine was constantly creeping up there. It never quite reached number one. But in the last couple of weeks, Haunted has just hit me. Especially this remastered version.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I oh, I love it. I just I love the new Haunted. It's my new favorite.
Fair enough.
People have asked so many times, which one's your favorite? Haunted is my favorite. Currently.
Fair enough.
It'll probably change. Who knows?
I think that's the mark of a good album where you can kind of float around between favorites because it's balanced, you know?
Right. It's not like there's the one good song and then the 10 meh songs.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of very good songs in this album.
Oh, thank you.
I opened the document and the first lines of the document are not the actual song. It's the section labeled brainstorming, and I'm reading it and I'm going, oh! When did we start writing this? Do you remember?
Okay. This song. Alright, we gotta talk about the creepiness of this song.
Right.
Because this song is creepy as all get out. And it's not because of what you think. It's not that it's a creepy song. It's just kind of a melancholy song, right? But you know this.
Remember how I predicted a lot of stuff when we were coming up with Beloved?
Mango predicted, this toxic relationship between Ranboo and Tubbo in Beloved, right? I predicted Ranboo's death with Haunted because I wrote the chorus for Haunted back in September of 2021. And Ranboo didn't die until about 3 months later. Character Ranboo didn't die until about 3 months later.
And I remember at the time when you wrote the chorus, I thought it was really cool, but I was like, are you sure about that night? Because you kept wanting to talk about ghosts. And I was like, there are no ghosts. I get the kind of... Because we were writing this after Beloved.
Like maybe about 3 weeks after Beloved.
We did kind of want to go back to that kind of haunting Ranboo song.
And I wanted to write a pair song.
Yeah, we wanted it to pair with Beloved. And I think originally it was just going to be not entirely an alternate perspective of Beloved, but they were supposed to pair together like that.
Yeah, it was like the melodies were supposed to kind of bounce off one another, but not supposed to be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I was also doing a lot of mashups back then, so I was like, ooh, what if I wrote songs that were intentionally, like, you could mash up very easily?
Right. And so we have, like, lots of cool lines and, like, motifs and stuff. I think we were talking about, like, adding more, like, mirror, weird kind of stuff.
Well, I think I remember you saying, as you were talking about, it's like the whole ghost in the mirror idea. You were telling me it doesn't make sense. Like, he doesn't really have anything to do with ghosts. Because at that point, the only ghost there had been was Ghostbur, and he was gone because Wilbur had been revived.
Right.
So it's like, why are you adding this ghost reference? It's really weird. I don't think you should do this song. Like, you didn't quite say it that way, but it's just like, maybe try something else. Because this didn't make sense.
I was trying really hard not to tell you what to do. Because it's your channel and it's your song.
Right. You were being very kind.
But I was like, Knight, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you were really steering me away, and I was like, okay, maybe you're right. And so I put it aside. And then Thanksgiving, or it was around Thanksgiving break, end of Thanksgiving break of 2021, the Prison Break stream happened. And I immediately remember talking to Mango right after the stream.
And she came and found me, and she was like, see? And I was like, yeah, all right, that's fair.
It's like, Haunted is happening. And then a month later, we finished Haunted and we put it out. Because, it worked now. The ghost reference made sense, finally.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also really freaky, because I remember freaking out, being like, he's a ghost. It happened.
Mhm.
Haunted works now. This is really weird.
And I do think it's really interesting. You had your moment and I had my moment, but we predicted a lot of things in this album.
Yeah, we predicted a lot of stuff because these aren't the only two songs that like we wrote sort of adjacent to canon, or is more like, based on some of the things that have happened and the vibes, like maybe this is sort of a snapshot of the character. Like it wasn't supposed to be an exact science. We weren't like, maybe this would be his reaction.
And I think that's interesting because we're not the only people to do that. There are a good number of songs that like just kind of we're sort of reading and like, testing, well, hey, maybe this will go this direction. And some of them have stood up to the test of time, and some of them, I won't say they haven't, but like it's like you can tell this one's a little dated because it thought something was going in a slightly different direction.
Right. But then there's other cases where the songs seem to influence the creators.
Right. Right. Like a lot of those Dream songs.
But I don't think that happened with any of these. I don't think any of the Night of Endo songs influenced the creators.
I don't think so, sadly.
But that means that the fact that some of them were fulfilled, I guess is how I'll phrase it, is freaky.
They feel like anachronisms now. Because going back and listening to them, it's almost like, you know the future even though it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, we'll talk about my favorite instance of that coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. There's one anachronism that is my favorite now that the album is out.
You want to read some of these old lines? There's some good ones.
Where?
Up at the top.
Up here in the brainstorming.
Yeah.
We got haunted by memories and music. I'm haunted by things no one hears, and I wanted to tell you the truth, but I'm daunted. I can't seem to say that I'm haunted.
That was an earlier version. I think that was one of my proposals or some of that was my proposals for an alternate chorus.
That sounds like some of your lyrical writing, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was trying to push you away from the ghost motif.
Yeah, it's very interesting. There was also a point where we thought about having a You Dreamed a Dream reprise in the midst of it.
Did we? I don't remember that.
Do you remember that? I thought about like putting the You Dreamed a Dream chorus on top of the bridge.
Oh.
Like having a second round of the Beloved bridge with the You Dreamed a Dream sort of in the background. I didn't end up doing that because it was so cluttered, especially that first version of Haunted where there was just a lot going on.
Which I still like, but it's a little hard if you're kind of new and don't know exactly what you're thinking. I think a lot of people had a hard time trying to figure out who was talking when.
Exactly. Especially, yeah, that's part of the reason I remastered it the way I did. But that's also part of the reason I like the remastered version now, because it's not as cluttered.
Yeah.
And you can focus on Ranbu and his point of view.
I missed some of the stuff in the original, but I do agree that for a remastered version, decluttering it was a wise decision. We have the glass reference here. Why is the glass not any clearer?
The referencing back to Beloved. But yeah, Haunted I love it. Actually, the reason why the original was so cluttered was because originally, when the album was going to be about 7 songs, Haunted was the finale. So that's why the original version sounded so big and grand and had so many layers and all that, was because it was going to be that last finale, stirring up all the emotions. But no, we came up with 7 more songs.
But you can definitely feel it in Haunted. It has a bit more of that finale feeling to it. Because of all the layering. And I do think it's a little interesting. I think we probably learned a lot from this without realizing it. Well, I mean, with realizing it too, but as far as how to do a finale song, by the time we actually got to the real finale song.
Oh, yeah.
Man! Anyway.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to address in Haunted?
I mean, nothing that we're not going to immediately talk about in a second with Precipice.
Hey Squires of Vendale, thanks for listening to part 4 of the Babel Has Fallen breakdown series. Just a heads up, there won't be a new episode next week since I'll be posting a new song. So, until next time, bye-bye! Why is the glass not any clear?